of Directors meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody that took time out of their schedule to be here today. Just do a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of information purposes. Unfortunately, on last month, we lost our treasurer, Ron Cornett, passed away. So condolences to Ron's partner, companion. He has no family to speak of, so he's got to be sorely missed. Stop us. I'm doing the best I can. So that being said, we're going to move right along with roll call. John, here, I got Pam left these.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you don't mind, John, thank you.
Yes. All right, Ms. Kaufman?
Here I am.
Ms. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Burt? Ms. Buell?
Here.
Ms. Compton? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
Here.
Uncle? Ms. Downs?
Here.
Mr. Munson?
I'm still here.
Ms. Heigl?
Here.
Mr. West? Here. Mr. Perry, can you hear me?
Here.
Okay. So we have a quorum. We are in business.
Okay. First order of business is the review of the minutes, of April 16, 2018. Once again, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I will make a safe assumption that you did receive copies of the minutes in your packet. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to accept any corrections to be made, such. Motion made by Sue Downs to accept. Do I hear a second? Seconded by John West. Is there discussion on the motion? Discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by raising their hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion. Chris? You're in favor?
Here.
Thank you. Motion carried. Chris, just yell out and get my attention, will you?
Okay.
All right. Next item is the treasurer's report.
I'll fill in if I may.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report as of the 30th of April, because obviously we skipped a meeting. There's chairs up front. Those who wish to come. Barbara, Steve. The May report will be coming in about 7 to 8 days. Bank statement's not here, so this is the most recent. April 30th. The account, the operating account, $781,392.29. Reserve account total $612,079.86. At time, accounts receivable were $45,506. We have the assets of prepaid insurance premiums of $241,911.24. We have other assets, including the truck, $39,573. So our assets and liabilities balance at $1,720,462.79. As far as our actions budget to actual, our income is up by $21,160, but that's somewhat inflated because we've received in our funds a $15,309.78 check for the fire repair in Unit 120.
Okay.
The best quote we've had comes in at about $10,000 more, and we're understanding that the adjuster will in fact inflate our check by the other $10,000. And so we should only be out at the maximum, our insurance deductible of $2,500. But that's why the income is somewhat higher. Actually, it's somewhat higher anyway, but it's inflated by the $15,000. So we're really about $6,000 ahead on income. Administration expenses are under budget, grounds under budget, buildings over budget. Kind of what we've been anticipating. The under budget is the lack of bad debts to write off, and the lower insurance rates. Grounds is kind of an artificial below right now because we're starting to amortize money for the trimming of the trees that will come in July and August. There's a hangover where we paid some of our 2017 bills at the beginning of this month as hurricane cleanup. So although it's a deficit, It really probably is over by $4,000 or $5,000 when everything equals out. The buildings, of course, are because of the structural repairs that we've made. Security's under budget. Pool and tennis is under budget, and utilities is over budget by about $20,000, but that will even out as the summer comes and we have less expense due to less occupancy. But the bottom line is, for the first 4 months of the year, we're under budget by $22,798.
That's a good place to be.
Yes. Now, along with that, I received the audit for 2017 finally. It looks good. I presented it to the president, who's going to take a look at it and sign the authorization papers. There's no anomalies. There was some delays due to the fact that our accounting company didn't make some of the transfers as directed by me, and secondarily didn't understand some of the things, quite frankly. And you'll notice that we have later on in the agenda an issue where we really think we should be leaving there. Unfortunately, the company was sold. The original people were really hands-on, knew what they were doing. For some reason, these are qualified CPAs that just can't seem to get it right, and they're not making the transfers correctly. There's absolutely no problem with the money. It's just when they make the transfers, they don't do it in the correct manner. Our auditor went up there and dealt with it and straightened everything out. Our audit coming through is nice and clean, so that's why we're going to be looking. Okay.
Any questions on it? Chris, you got any questions? Okay, any questions from the board? All right, moving right along into units with legal issues, down to one.
Boy, is this happy to report, I'm telling you.
Down to one.
Back when Sue was on the board, way back when, there were 42 units that had trouble.
Yes.
And now we're down to really one. Well, really nice thing is that it's never over until it's over, but Unit 251, who never paid us and fought the whole thing all the way through, finally had to go into bankruptcy, and the judge ruled that to get out of bankruptcy, they had to pay everything they owed, which meant the association getting its money in full, which meant the mortgage holder, which was the prior owner, would get their money in full, and anybody else. We received a check for about $8,300, which, the way I saw it, paid for everything. However, we got a note from the attorney asking for X amount of money, and they paid exactly what the X amount of money was. But I totaled the amount that the attorney asked for, and it was $4,000 under what their bottom line was. So I'm not sure that they owe us $11,000, but we have $8,000 in hand. And the attorney now realized that they made a clerical error, and they're going to try to get us another $4,000.
Well, and if not, the attorney ought to pay it.
Well, wouldn't he love to do that? And of course, his assistant did it. He never does anything wrong. So it's real positive. The bottom line is, I feel that we've been paid. When they reconcile their records, I don't think we're going to get the $4,000. I think that what we're on our books, we got money for.
We won't
In
party.
the meantime, hurry up and deposit the check.
Yeah, well, no, they won't let me.
Well, okay.
No, because of the issue. The attorney called me back today and said, hold the check, hold the check, hold the check.
Well,
So,
couldn't your assistant make a mistake and
well,
deposit it?
it just might happen.
Attorneys don't make
It
mistakes.
just might happen.
I'm going to the bank.
Yep, it just might happen. So really, the only unit problem we have going right now is the second owner who filed for bankruptcy. And that hearing won't come up until July. And other than that, we're in good shape. Council Seaver, very good shape.
Any questions?
Yes. Did they have to sell their unit, actually?
Yeah, well, they had to go to the bankruptcy judge and get approval to sell it.
Okay.
And so he administered the whole thing.
So they sold, so we don't have to deal with them again?
That we're done. We've got a new owner. I talked to him today.
Okay.
A nice young man and his wife coming down from St. Pete, and I'm sure we'll be very happy to have him in our community.
All right.
I think a big thank you to our manager for getting rid of the other 41.
Well, I had a lot of help from everybody, including Sue showed me the whole line on how to do it. So
All right, next item is the roof coating project?
Going well, moving to the last cluster very shortly.
Yay.
This thing started in January of 2016. They had hoped to be out of here no later than February, but it will be another 6 weeks or so. Part of it was the weather and the storms and things like that, but we're just about through. They're just about through with P. They'll be moving to the last cluster within 2 weeks.
Awesome.
And we have at this point expended $1,663,057. The interesting thing was we were right on budget for everything all the way through until we got to Woodlawn. And what the whole process, not to drag it out, but the whole process is they come in and they do a radiant barrier test to make sure there's no water trapped underneath. So if they put the new coating down and there's water, it would cause nothing but mold and mildew inside the units. So every one has just been about perfect. We got to Woodlawn and we've spent about $14,000 in repairs in Woodlawn because of deterioration and water entrapment. So those roofs were really starting to go. So as far as the project itself, we're within budget, but to bring it up to speed, we've got to expend about $14,000. And you know, when you do a roof project like this, contingency really is 10%. We're going to be well below that. So it could have been a lot worse.
All right. Any questions on that?
Just clarification, so we're going to be within our 121,000 that we budgeted this fiscal year?
We're going to be within our, we're going to be within the main project that we put in the reserves was $1.8 million.
Chris is back.
Okay. Well, I don't know how.
It just hung up.
We can try to call him again if we want, but he can't. He can't call in on this we will be within the $1.8 million that we had in reserves. We will exceed the $1.8 million that we had reserved by this repair that will come out of the reserves because it's roof renovation. So we're, you know, it's going to be a little
So
bit.
this year will be a little bit above the 129,000 that we budgeted for this fiscal year.
Yes.
A little over.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is the stack pipe project.
Back pipes are going well too. Let's see, where are we? I think we've done 100 and, where are my notes?
116.
116 are done now.
Yeah.
116 are done. That leaves 49, I think it is, to do. We're doing 2 more since I've done this report. Year to date, we've spent $311,653, and our reserves we've taken out is $262,653. So what happens is we spent about $60,000 out of the normal reserve, normal operating surpluses before we set up the reserve. So that's why there's a difference. Remember when we said let's do this in all due haste? We hadn't had a reserve set up, so we had to take it from surplus.